Hello again. Right, today we're going to be cooking a simple minestrone soup. Got the pan there. I'm going to put some olive oil on there, or any oil, but olive oil will be better for this, and that's essential, not essential, but a cupboard ingredient, an oil you can cook with and do lots of different things with. It's pretty cheap. This is only about £1.50, so I'm going to put olive oil in there. I'm going to take it off the heat actually for a bit. So the other store cupboard ingredients that are going to go in this meal are tomatoes, kidney beans, maybe a bit of tomato paste, all cheap stuff, 30p that cost max. Pepper again. I'm going to put in smoked paprika, that's going to be the main flavour, get a bit of a smoky kick. Smoked sweet paprika. I'm going to put a bit of thyme in, some carrots, a carrot, some onions, a bit of pepper and mushrooms. Also in here I've got some potatoes. I love potatoes in soup because they break down and give the soup a bit of body and a little bit of flavour. But so that's just gently cooking away there. Take it down, boom, 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 like that. Take it across. I learnt this one in the first restaurants I ever worked in. Somebody taught me how to do it, of course. Don't have to do it like that, but I find it works pretty well. Doesn't matter if some bits are bigger than others. There you go. Stick it in the pan. So we don't want this olive oil to burn particularly because it'll go a bit bitter. So just keep an eye on that. Although you can forget about it a bit. Right, get some more onion in there. Right, so with all soups, you just want everything to be cooked at the same time, and some things, what we're doing here with the onion really, is putting a bit of flavour in it, it's getting a bit of sweetness out. So whereas potato, you can make fried potatoes, it's a very tasty thing, but they're not we don't want them to be doing that today, we just want them to be adding a bit of body. But the onions, we want to get a bit of flavour, and we're concentrating flavour. We're making a soup, we want the soup to be tasty. Alright, so onion in there. And hopefully turn the heat up without turning it off. Careful which way I go. They're not that strong these, right? So got a bit of whole garlic in there. That wouldn't really matter. So crush my garlic. I'm gonna put a lot of garlic in there. I might even put some granules in as well, because I love garlic. But I can overdo it. So maybe I'll just put 4 in. You could just put 1 in, or you could put none in. It doesn't really matter. If you really, really hate garlic, then don't put it in. Doesn't matter. That's the thing about this sort of cookery. It's about the principles, really. So the soup, I can't think of many soups that don't start off with frying an onion. Right, so we've got loads of garlic there. Not cutting up too small. I'll leave that there. Easy to use for me. This is nice and clean, so it doesn't matter. Pepper. I would say an essential for minestrone really, but if you haven't got one, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. In a composting bucket. Let's get all the stuff off there. I mean, if I was making if I was in a kitchen, that would all go in a stock pot. Composting is obviously, I've got a little compost, wormery in my back garden, so all the food waste, all the like offcuts, nothing that's really cooked, you can put that into a little compost bin you can make yourself. Maybe we do that another time with a couple of buckets and a bit of a grid. You can do that. You don't want to put that in the normal waste, because that'll just go to landfill and end up producing methane, a greenhouse gas. And we don't want that. Right, so there's a pepper. Pretty roughly cut, doesn't matter, wasn't concentrating that much. A little bit of colour on there, but you don't necessarily want colour, you want it to go translucent, but you know, the point I'm always trying to make is there's nobody watching you do this at home, is there? You're doing it for yourself. So if you like it slightly caramelised on the outside, that's lovely. It's just going to add a bit of flavour, isn't it? So that's a bit big, so what, it doesn't matter. Right, so we've got some mushrooms here. They'll be going to waste. What I'm going to do, I'll just chop them up roughly. They're already chopped a bit. Right, so we've got muffins in there. You put the stalks in. There's nothing wrong with the stalks to eat. How we do it? Do we need a little bit more oil in there? It's an Italian dish. Olive oil, Italians, they go together perfectly. Olive oil and the Greeks. Olive oil and some French go together. It's a local ingredient. Olives don't go around here, but cuisine is fairly international these days. So, looks a lot like a pasta dish we cook, don't we? So there's nothing to this cooking malarkey. Sound a bit like Jamie Oliver there. There's nothing to cooking, is there, as you can see. Fresh, cheap ingredients, cooking down nicely, getting more flavoursome. Right, let's stick a bit of thyme here because that's what we've got. Grosbeak in the summer, we have lots of basil growing. We had lots of basil this year, but we gave away to local food banks and to the market. Well, the marketplace closed, but to anybody come along, they can pick up fresh ingredients. So if you're doing something like this and you live in the area in the summer, come down. We've got fresh herbs. We've got ingredients you can just pick off. For instance, if Brendan follows me this way, we'll get some tomatoes because we can. We're not far off Christmas. We've still got tomatoes growing. Well, not growing, they're pretty much ripening off on the vine. So these can go in. Okay, no point wasting it. We'll dig them all up soon when they're all gone. Just there we've got some jalapeno chilies. We'll do something with them. Turn them into chutney probably. So got a few fresh tomatoes in there. I'm going to put in this garlic. Should have put this carrot in earlier, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it up some more. There's nothing wrong with a bit of a carrot with biting. Anyway, raw carrots are just lovely.
So all the ingredients just in a very similar to week one's meal, wasn't it, that we did?
Yeah, because we've got the same food in. So the secret really is this is what's available in shop. It's seasonal now. It's pretty much all local in the fact it's grown in England. We could put other fancy things in there, but ultimately the only things that are growing in England now is a bit of kale, late potatoes, a few onions in the ground, a few leeks. There's not much really growing or available locally, so a lot of traditional cookery does involve all the same stuff all the time. So we've got the vegetables cooking away there, and very nice. We've got the potatoes with some water that's done. So what I'm going to do now is put a bit of tomato paste in there. Quite a lot actually. I'm going to put some smoked paprika. As you see, I'm not measuring it out. I can do it on the back of my hand, I suppose. Not that it matters, because I'm just doing it. There you go. Paprika. We'll taste it at some stage. You can smell the smokiness. What I'm doing here is like really cooking the tomato paste off, just makes it a bit better. I'm not sure what the science behind it is, but if you cook tomato paste, it takes away a bit of that sort of
vinegary taste, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit of an acidy taste on it. So you can see it's going down nicely there. Have we missed anything out? Don't think so yet. Right, although it's a soup, I'm going to make it in this pan just so you can see what I'm doing really. I'm going to put in, have we got another tin of tomatoes? Right, another tin of tomatoes. This one looks like it's got with herbs. There you go.
Perfect.
So what herbs has it got in there? Oregano, basil. I don't like dry basil, but it's in there. Going to make it a bit tastier.
But I suppose that saves you buying some herbs that's already in the tin, and they're not much difference in price, are they? Probably
same
pence difference. Yeah.
Work out. So. Remember last one we did, we put a little bit of sugar in. Going to do that again. Right. So you could just serve that with pasta if you're vegetarian. Put loads of cheese on it, or put the pasta in with this. Put what you've got there mix it with some cooked pasta, stick it in the oven, cover it with cheese, breadcrumbs if you've got it. You've got a pasta bake, a vegetarian pasta bake. Stick a tin of tuna in, like we did the other day, and you've got a tuna pasta bake. Or, if you put bacon in there at the start, I mean, normally for minestrone you would put some sort of meat in there, but this is a vegetarian version. You could fry some bacon off at the start, just a couple of rashers will give it a lot of flavour. Fry some chicken off, put that in. It doesn't really matter, as long as it's cooked and it's ready to go. So all you need to do there to turn it into a more traditional minestrone was fry some smoky bacon off at the start, at least 2 rashers, maybe 4. It's all down to taste really, and that'll just add it a bit of smoky meatiness, just a different flavour. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some of this water cooked potato. Okay. Whoops. So maybe a bit more. I'm going to put some potatoes in. How many you put in is totally up to you. So we haven't wasted anything there, have we? Now, got to think about flavour. Stock cube. This is actually a chicken stock cube, so it won't be vegetarian, but there's loads of vegetable stock cubes. Cost next to nothing from discount supermarket, 30p for loads of them. This actually is slightly more expensive brand, but it doesn't really matter. Any stock cube will do. Okay, so stick that in. Just leave that to cook for, oh, put something else in, hold on. Right, that soup will just be just fine as it is. But it is a minestrone. Traditionally minestrone you would just be using any old pasta, bits and bobs of pasta at the bottom of the bags that you haven't used, so that's why, again, it's a classic store cupboard recipe, because you're using up stuff that otherwise go to waste. So this pasta, the last session we turned that into, that went in the tuna pasta, didn't it? But I saved some back, and that's just going to go in here because we don't love pasta and tomatoes. What's not to love? Maybe not do this the same meal. But anyway, so what the Italians would do with this, they would stick little broken bits of pasta and they would stick it in this from all different packets, so you'd have all sorts of different pasta in it. We're just using this penne. I mean, the thing is as well about this is that that's pre-cooked, because I've cooked it for the one previously. But when you're cooking this from scratch, you would cook the pasta in there with the potatoes, so it's done. Okay. As long as the pasta's cooked through, you could cook it in the sauce like that, but you'd need to put a little bit more water in, reduce it. It's a bit more complicated. Not that complicated, but a little bit more complicated. Right, so what I'm going to stick in there is, if nobody likes kidney beans, then don't put in kidney beans. You could stick in butter beans. Okay. You could stick in chickpeas if you really want. You could stick cannelloni beans in. I wouldn't stick a tin of baked beans in, you know, with the tomato sauce. I wouldn't stick that in. But I think we'll go with kidney beans because it's a smaller tin, and that more or less could be going to waste. However many kidney beans you want. Like that.
And how long would you cook that through for now, Justin?
Until, well, warm it through is all you need to do. But I'm going to have a little taste. I think. And see where we're at. I mean, ideally, you'd cook it through a little bit longer. You want a soupy consistency, of course. Might need some little bit of salt. Might need a little bit more pepper. Might need a bit more paprika. You can't really eat soup with thought, but I'm going to try. I just want to eat the sauce, really. Tastes smoky, tomatoey. Tastes lovely. Needs a bit of salt. We haven't got any salt, but people eat too much salt anyway. It needs it for just for taste, not for any nutritional benefit. But it tastes lovely as it is. But people are used to eating too much salt, so I would recommend you don't put any in there, really. Right, to serve with that, you could just grate cheese on top once you put it in the bowl. You could toast some bread, rub a little bit of garlic on it, but pretty much that is a meal in one pan. Right, and that's it. What we've got there is a minestrone soup. What do we do first? Olive oil, fried the onions off. We put in peppers, carrots. We put some boiled potatoes in, just for a bit of body. And we put some cooked pasta in, some tomato paste, tomatoes, a stock cube, and some water that you cook the potatoes in. Really simple. Took about, how long did that take, Bryn?
15 minutes.
15 minutes max. And that is a pretty hearty evening meal, I think. Thank you.